1.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of City and Financial Global, as well as all our sponsors, I would like to welcome you to the EV Infrastructure Summit 2020. As a few commentators have observed, the COVID-19 pandemic is in a sense a rehearsal for the much bigger challenge of climate change, and the transition to electric vehicles is obviously an important element in how we tackle that challenge. It was heartening to hear the Prime Minister yesterday commit to the green industrial revolution and low-cost clean power generation. It'll be interesting to see the details of all of this in the forthcoming Energy White Paper, due to be published before the end of this year. A few points on the technology platform that we're using today. As you have no doubt experienced previously, there can be the occasional glitch when using technology platforms. Please bear with us if this does happen. We will fix it as quickly as possible. On the left of the screen, you will see the various areas within our virtual venue for this event. You can click on any of these to enter them. In the reception area, you will find useful instructions about how to use the technology. Just beneath that, you will see the main stage where all the conference presentations and panels will take place. The sessions area beneath that we're not using today, so please ignore that. Going on down is the networking area, which I would encourage you all to try out during the breaks in the program. If you press this, you will connect to the next available person, a bit like running into somebody during the coffee break at a face-to-face conference or speed dating. The next button down is the Expo area, where you can visit our sponsors' booths and interact with them via video call. They're all very keen to meet you, so please take time to do that. If you need any help, you can visit the CNF info booth in the Expo area. On the right of the screen, you have the chat, polls, and people controls. Using the chat function, you can comment on presentations and write questions, which we will pass on to the speakers. Please try to keep them short in the interest of time. The polls function is where you'll find any polls that the speakers may choose to run as part of their presentations. The people function lists all the participants. Just click on someone you want to communicate with and invite them to a private video call or text chat. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Natasha Patel, our chair for today, and Patrick Ayad, who will be giving them this morning's opening remarks. Natasha is a director at Baringa Partners, where she supports energy, automotive, and financial services clients in their evaluation of the impact on their businesses of electric and alternative drive chains. She also supports investors deploying funds into this ecosystem. Natasha is a member of the DfT's Net Zero Transport Board, chaired by Secretary of State Grant Shapps and Under Secretary Rachel McLean. Patrick is the global head of the Automotive and Mobility Industry Sector Group at Hogan Lovells, as well as head of the commercial practice in Germany and a member of the leadership team for the global commercial practice area. With more than 15 years experience, he has gained considerable knowledge of commercial and regulatory matters advising global companies, particularly in the industrial and consumer goods industry sectors. He is also widely recognized as a leading expert for automotive distribution matters and automotive sector work in general. Patrick, over to you.
Thank you very much, Maurice, and welcome also from my side to this great conference that we were planning initially to have I think in March as a live event in London, but of course that could not happen. And so we are here now with our different settings, and you can see my background here. This is basically my office with the pictures on the wall. It's always interesting to see what the people have in the back. So this is my setting. Now, the automotive industry was already in a sort of disruption pre-COVID. There were supply chain issues, of course, trade battles between the countries, and it was expected to be a very difficult year for the automotive industry anyway. Now, COVID, of course, has further increased that challenge for the automotive companies, the traditional ones in particular. But somehow they, are still trying to succeed. Of course, there is even more supply chain disruption. Some of the automotive players also shifted their focus and were starting to produce masks, for example, which is also a new business field for some of them, at least temporarily. But the critical priorities have clearly shifted for a while. Now that we are trying at least to get back to normal in a certain way, and are all hoping that at some point during next year we will probably go back to normal. The immediate priorities that they had even before COVID, they are still there. And so one of the challenges of automotive companies, of course, was the area around ACEs, autonomous, connected, electric, and shared vehicles. And that is still there. It has not, disappeared just because of COVID. It's just, and this is how we see it, there has been maybe a sort of dynamic pause around these issues. So everyone was still thinking about it, although you could not immediately proceed. So let's take autonomous vehicle development as one example. Everyone knows that this is coming. Everyone knows that they still have to invest in it, but it has certainly been delayed now. And the legislative efforts, for example, on an international level, but also the development. So the investments by the automotive companies had to somehow shift, at least for the time being, into the immediate priorities, how to keep the supply chain alive, for example. But everyone knows that there will still need to be substantial investments in these areas around autonomous, connected, electric, and shared vehicles. And one focus area, of course, is still electric vehicles. And this is also something we will talk about today, electric vehicles, and particularly also the infrastructure for electric vehicles. It is still a major priority. And I think we can now see, although initially maybe during COVID, everyone thought that maybe this will further delay the process or the establishment of electric vehicles, I think we can now see a pretty positive development towards electric vehicles. The numbers go up. There seems to be also from the consumer a perception that this is really that they need to have an electric vehicle compared to the internal combustion engine. And I think there is another important point about COVID. COVID made us all a bit more human and maybe think a bit more about the people. And so people first is maybe something that is also a result of COVID. So I think we are all now with the sustainability development trying to think a bit more about these new developments that should also be good for us as humans. And electric vehicles is one thing that may support this development. Of course, we all know that batteries also have some other challenges in terms of producing and recycling. So the focus still is now, or again, is on electric vehicles, and this will be our main topic for today and tomorrow. And with this, I'm going to hand over to Natasha, who will be the chair. So Natasha, the floor is yours. Thank you very much and see you later.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And thank you, Morris, for that introduction. I look forward to a fantastic day as your chair today. We will pause for a few seconds because we need to prepare for our minister in our virtual backstage. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back for the chair's welcome and our keynote speech.